Welcome back, guys. Keys to the Rock, episode 12.
Woo!
As always, wow. Joined by Daniel Woods. Daniel, I have to say, last night you had a fantastic, fantastic party. I'm on 5 hours sleep. You're on 4 hours sleep. How do you feel?
A little soiree. I didn't think we have to share that, but no, it was a great night. Glad you came. Glad everyone else came through. Love my Keys to the Rock team, and yeah, no, we were celebrating, man. So it was like good vibes.
What were we celebrating, Dan?
I finally got my professional designation, Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors.
Rix.
My Rix. Yeah, everyone's like, "Who's Rix? Who's your boy Rix? What's Rix?"
Yeah.
But yeah. So I got my letters behind my name. So now I can got the stamp. Can do valuations, appraisals, professionally recognized, global award. Yeah,
He's a top shotter.
Top. I'm basically a top shot.
You're a guy.
I'm the guy.
You're the man.
I'm the guy. But
well, congratulations, and it was an amazing event.
much
And
appreciate it, my guy.
respect, mate. That's what we're doing. We grow.
We grow
and
higher levels.
You know.
Higher levels. But no, much appreciated. Thanks for coming through. Thanks to the squad. You couldn't be there without you guys. Great people. And yeah. Well, let's get into this episode, man.
First episode was Shades.
Is it? Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
It's a little science.
Who are you wearing today? Ray-Bans, it looks like?
Yeah. Ray-Ban is Rick's cousin.
Oh, true. Okay. You're that kind of guy now. Let's talk about last episode.
Yeah, I was going to say, can we get into it, man? All right, so last episode, we had intro to entertaining and home essentials. We had the lovely Danielle Painter, Elizabeth Blankendow of a Toffel and the NABAP. And I probably said it wrong, didn't I?
No, I think that's correct.
Toffel.
Yeah. I mean, no one knows. That's what's fun about it.
Yeah,
It's a talking point.
Yeah, it's a party starter.
Yeah.
But they gave us the intel and the need to know information for all things when it comes to where you want to get shop things locally, what you want to have in mind when entertaining, and just basically if you're trying to do a party, how you going to do a party.
And look, we're getting into the winter season. Might as well reach out to them as well. Like they do great sort of festive things as well.
No, fantastic stuff. So go watch that episode if you haven't watched that episode. And then today we're actually doing this is our season finale, season 1 finale.
Yeah, hey, you know that. And I'm wearing the Suade shoes. So it has been a long journey, and thank you so much, obviously, our team, the sponsors, all the guests. I mean, to think we've had 12 guests, and looking to next year.
11 guests.
We've had 11 guests. Well, we're
pilot episode.
Yeah, pilot episode, true. But looking to the next season, we've got some really exciting things for guys. I mean, we're going to have a fantastic event coming up next month with all of our previous guests and sponsors. And, we're really looking to diversify basically what we're doing.
Just
and
continue to expand, scale up, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
So as you guys will see, this is probably one of the roughest sites and shooting points that we've had.
Keys to the Rock, and we're surrounded by rocks.
Yeah. So Ben, if you will, please tell us a little bit about this property right here. Why are my pants scuffed up?
Well,
and my
truth be told, this is not where I wanted to film in the house. I wanted to be on the porch,
you didn't?
you know that. But anyway, no, we are in the driveway of what will eventually be a driveway of an unbelievable house.
Yeah,
we're right at
garage, right?
2-car garage. Well, one for a golf cart and car. Because it's just going to be one assessment number here. There's not an apartment because just down the way, you've got Mid-Ocean and Tuckers Point Beach Club. So if people want to go there or go to the clubhouse itself, it's pretty fantastic that they have the opportunity to do so. So we're right by Shell Point Road, and this house, guys, is shy of just $7 million, and it's a brand new spec house.
That's it?
Just shy. But it's unbelievable. A huge house, modern, and it's really, really almost impossible in Bermuda to find anything that is a spec house that is built to sell. And, usually people build a house for themselves. And whereas other islands elsewhere in the world, you see a lot, more development and more opportunity. Bermuda is a very small place, and so we don't have that. So to have a house like this,
you can even hear the works going on right in the
there's work going on,
now.
And it's a holiday. So it's no joke. We get things done, but this house is incredible. Modern, huge open floor plan. It's pretty special inside.
That's what's up. All right. So we're going to bring on... So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about our guest. We guys got Mark Jordan. Fantastic guy, young Bermudian, working at OnSite Engineering. He's going to run us through, and we're going to talk about everything you need to know about structural surveys. they've just sort of, not just, but they're introduced themselves into that market.
They're making more of a focus on that now.
Yeah, and they've expanded their portfolio to add that in. And, he's going to give us the rundown. And, I mean, me and you both know the importance of structural surveys when it comes to our regular day-to-day sort of dealings and stuff like that. I know from our point of view, sometimes it's like a necessity. And I'm sure I'll get into it a little bit later. But sometimes it's a necessity to see that before we can actually give our value, right? Because we need to know that this, and this, or if we see stuff that needs a little bit of work or defects or, structural integrity of things that don't look up to par, it's stuff that we want or strongly recommend get checked out by a structural surveyor, not a structural surveyor, a structural engineer, such as Mark. And then on your side, where does it come into play when we're dealing with, a sales transaction per se?
Yeah, obviously, I think, it is important for someone as a buyer to get a structural survey, especially if you have some uncertainties. If it's a brand new house, you make this as a subjectivity of your offer. Now, these surveys, they might cost $1,000, $2,000, that kind of range. So, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
It's not cheap, right? No. The home purchasing process generally isn't cheap, unfortunately. There's a lot of different pieces, or
you got your stamp duty, conveyance fees,
cogs in the wheel per se, that are just all part of the home buying process. So which
Mark is looking at me because I'm going to honestly say that yes, it's great to do, but you don't have to do it. Mm-hmm. So I think if there's a brand new house, I would recommend that you maybe don't need to spend that money. It depends on the budget. What kind of property are you buying? Yeah. But if there's some uncertainties, there is no better person to have someone like Mark come through and to really, comb through everything and let you know what you're getting into.
From a liability standpoint, right? You know what I mean? It's, at the end of the day, sometimes you're really just trying to protect yourself during this purchasing process. So, I think that's a huge element that has to be
for sure
played in the part.
For sure.
So, we're going to bring Mark on in a little bit. But as always, Ben, we're in November. What's the latest with the market? Give us a little market commentary.
Yeah, I mean,
rentals. Let's start with rentals.
Well, with rentals, I find that the rental market is actually going to hold up stronger than the sales market right now, because inventory is still really low, as it is with sales. But at least with sales, we have the interest rates going up. Mm-hmm. Bermuda is a very, very small place. So many people over the last 2-3 years have bought. I mean, you look at Riddle's Bay, 17 of 19 lots have sold. Mm-hmm. All of those are locals, not available to international buyers. That's just one segment. It's really, really tough to buy anything. But also, with rentals, there's a lot of people. I get calls every handful of days of people still moving to the island.
Yeah. That's just good signs generally, right?
I had a place on Napton Hill the other day that the owners, they've renovated it and then put it online for rent at $17,000, rented in a day. Multiple people coming to see it. So at all price points, there's a lot of activity. Yeah. But what I'm definitely seeing and what I'm anticipating is that over the next year, certainly in terms of the sales market, is that the market will probably soften a bit, and which is okay, and it's a good thing. It's been very much a seller's market. But
so out of interest, let's go off of last year. What was and I'm sorry to cut you off, but last year, how many properties were sold last year, for example? Or
it was just shy, I believe, just shy of 200. And that's typically, way back in the heyday, we had much more than that. But usually we always say around 200 sales. Mm-hmm. And, this year, 2022 is going to be strong. I can almost guarantee next year 2023 will be less. Yeah. For sure. And, what I often say that people don't really understand, and it's not sales talk. This is, you'll never make it as a real estate agent or really anyone if you're full of fluff and you're not genuine. So it's not a used car salesman kind of thing. So you have to be super honest. And what I tell people, honestly, if you miss the boat on what's been happening, you don't know that the market's been busy until you truly enter it, and you realize, wow, 10 showings in a week. Yeah. Bermuda never used to see that kind of thing. Multiple offers, sometimes things going over asking price. We never used to experience that.
No, sure. And you have to be prepared. It's one of those things that we talked about in our second episode with Stephen Simons. And it was one of those things where you want to be prepared to be ready to buy.
A lot of people
that are interested, you have to have all systems, everything set up, plan, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to be, to be able to put forward a competitive offer. But, I, maybe people who watch this episode, sellers of mine who I've genuinely in years past, I've said, don't put your house on the market right now for whatever reason. Maybe we're, going in, maybe the market's not that good, or we're going into the holidays or, cup match kind of time where
timing of things
August,
really
December, more quiet, or, there's an election upcoming. So people always hit the pause button, what I mean? Like whatever it might be. But what I will say with right now, today, I guarantee you the market's better to sell today than it's going to be in March. So seriously.
You have a crystal ball?
No, but a good finger on the pulse.
Yeah,
no. So it is a better time.
And when you consider everything, if you look at the macroeconomics of things, right? Everyone is saying
the markets have been crashing. Real estate markets have been really not doing well globally, and here actually we've been pretty consistent.
But Bermuda always usually has like a little bit of a delayed effect.
The U.S. sneezes, we catch a cold.
Yeah, as it goes. So. But all right. So I appreciate that. Before that said, I was going to delve into some stuff, but I know we want to get into a nice, good conversation with Mark. So, we're after this break from our sponsors, we'll have Mark. So, yeah. And we're back. Thank you to our sponsors, great people over there. Love you guys. Much appreciated for supporting us this entire season. And as we're in episode 12, we have civil engineer who does structural surveys, Mark Jordan, joining us from OnSite Engineering. So we're going to hand it over to him. And Mark, just start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself.
Great to be on board, guys. Glad to educate the general population about some structural surveys today.
Well, I guess let's start. I mean, structural survey, it sounds very complicated. And in a real estate transaction, that's kind of a very common condition of a sale or something that people do. I know in the States, people often call it like a home inspection, but just tell us, what does it entail? What do you do? So
a structural survey or a home inspection is a examination of a building or property by an expert such as myself, where we will look at the physical structure and any of the equipment and infrastructure within that. And we will just examine it for any kind of defects that may be present, hidden or visible. And we'll kind of document that in a report and kind of inform you on the health of the property you might be buying.
No, and I think that's very necessary. As we always mention on this show, real estate transaction, buying, purchasing a home is usually the biggest purchase of someone's life. And I know as a buyer, spending whatever the amount is, and I'm sure we'll get into that, spending the amount for a structural survey can pay off huge dividends in the long term if you're finding out about these defects prior to purchasing the house. You don't want to buy a house and then 5 years down the road, you found out that there's cracks or this in the foundation. It's something that can just sort of give you full transparency, right?
That's exactly it. They are a fantastic thing, and I think are well underrated by a lot of potential buyers. You wouldn't buy a car without having some idea on the car's history, or a mechanic look at it, or some independent person to tell you, yes, this is good to go. Many, potential home buyers might be their first time, or even if they've had existing houses, they're not super familiar with how structures work or how systems within the home work.
It's a lot going on.
It's a lot going on, and there could be defects plain in sight that you might think are not a big deal, and they could be major.
Yeah.
People ask me questions all the time when I walk through homes, and I'm just like, honestly, I know how to open the door. I know where the tank is, but that's about it. So what kind of...
So you don't know anything?
I don't know anything.
To be clear.
Plumbing, wiring, I leave it to the professionals. But so would you recommend like a structural survey? I mean, right now we're at a brand new build. It's not even yet completed. It will be completed very soon. But would you recommend a structural survey for even a brand new construction, or like what's kind of the telltale signs?
Don't get salesy on us. Don't get salesy on us.
Genuinely.
I certainly would, because as a new buyer of a home, even on a new home, are you certain it was constructed right? Yeah. Is it compliant with current building regulations and standards? It's easy for contractors to miss out on these things.
Sure.
Sometimes they're taking shortcuts. Sometimes they just didn't know. Sometimes just an accident.
Yeah.
But they have as much value on a new home as they do a grade 2 listed.
Do contractors not like you guys?
The contractors like us.
Yeah.
I think you real estate guys might not as much if we...
Depending.
If we have a lot of negative things to say.
Depending how long the report is, yeah.
But we're not there to, beat down on a house or anything like that. It's an unbiased inspection of the property where we just identify defects.
One thing that I will say in terms of, obviously we're joking, but in terms of like a real estate condition of a structural survey being a condition of the sale, the reason why a lot of sellers don't like it is because it is seen sometimes, especially if a house is really, really well kept and, it might be 15 years old. Nothing's wrong with it beyond reasonable wear and tear. And sometimes a buyer will put it in there almost as like a renegotiation thing. So they'll say, oh, the report outlined that the door handle is loose and stuff like that. And it's like
minor stuff that would
so from a sales perspective, it's like if my opinion and most sellers' opinions is if it's not like endangering the people, house is sold as is, unless it's, huge termite issues or something. If it's reasonable wear and tear, it's not a reason to say, okay, we're going to reduce our offer by $10,000 because it's outlined this. So that's, I think, what a big thing is across the industry, that a lot of agents and sellers from other structural surveyors, honestly, it's sometimes too nitpicky. That's a big feedback.
But I think that's part of it. So, I mean...
I totally agree with that. Yeah. I've seen other reports where they're commenting on things like a cracked curb in the driveway. It's irrelevant to the real health of the house, and anyone can see it's cracked. It's not going to impact anything, And with our inspections and
what's covered? That's where I was going to.
We keep it to the important things, the stuff that matters. We keep them concise. We don't want to drag this out or make it any more difficult than it already is to buy a home.
Fluff. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but in a home inspection, what's covered is everything externally and internally, starting with your roof. We'll get up on the roof, we'll walk around, we'll look for cracks, defects.
You love a crawl space.
I love a crawl space. Then there's the outside of the roof. Then I'll have to climb inside the ceiling space and inspect all of the timber framing and stuff like that. Make sure that's all in good condition. We'll walk around, check the walls. Are there any cracks? Is there effervescence? Is there, signs of moisture leaks? Has there been past repairs to the property that have been covered up? Or, has there been an addition? We'll look at the floor slabs as well. Is there settlement? Is there cracks? Is the tile cracking? Could that be an underlying issue that's causing that? We'll get even deep. I climb right down into your water tank and... if they're full of water, I'm not going swimming, but I stick my flashlight and my head around there and see what I can see,
Get a nice measurement.
Make sure there's no trees growing in there. A lot of, when you're looking at the walls and stuff, cracks can be an indication of issues with the foundation. There could be settlement going on or stuff like that. So that's on the structural side.
My wife and I renovated our house and finished, I guess, just over a year ago now. And even since then, I've actually noticed, since we did an extension and all of that, there's been like settlement cracks. Like I noticed some like iffiness with like some of the floorboards and stuff like that.
I think you need a structural survey.
I might have you by and just have a look.
Anytime.
Honestly, you just never know.
I would love to.
It sounds like he's trying to get a freebie.
Yeah.
You better invoice. Do
you want to have dinner?
Yeah. That'll suffice.
So not out of curiosity, but how would one go about getting the structural survey, and what sort of the cost incurred, so we can just sort of, it can vary. Obviously, it can vary. It's similar to appraisals and stuff like that. You guys probably work off of a metric. Just go into detail on how one would get one, what's the timeline on turnaround time, and sort of like a base cost of that someone might.
Sure. So that's a conversation that every potential buyer should have with their real estate agent. They are going to be the ones with the contacts. They've dealt with these before. They can put you in touch with a suitable person to carry out the inspection. As for cost, they can vary depending on the nature or the size of the property. But general house of recent, average size house of recent construction will run you between $1,000 to $2,000.
All right, and that's like
for a structural survey.
Like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Yeah, 3-bedroom, 1,500, 2,000 square feet.
standalone house.
So when someone's going through a house and let's say they're about to make an offer or they have an accepted offer and they want to make that a condition, like what are some of the things that they should look out for, that the typical examples of like defects that they should keep an eye out to hire you for?
So, any kind of cracks are, that's an easy one. They're visual.
Red
a lot
flag.
of people can see them. That's a red flag, A lot of times they could be superficial. It's just on the surface. But as mentioned before, it could be a deeper underlying problem. If you see any like concrete spalling, cracking on doors and lintels particularly, the reinforcement within the concrete could be corroding. As it corrodes, it expands, cracks the concrete, and that becomes a real pain to fix. Other issues are, if the water tank, are you noticing, you may not know this when you're just buying a house, but is the water tank holding water? Is there signs of moisture damage within the house? Is the ceiling, is there mold like reoccurring in certain areas? Can you see water stains? Was it a past recent water leak? Those typically come down from the roof. So, ceiling's a good spot to look for that, but also piping within the walls, floors, it can crack and you'll see that moisture coming through. So really those are the kind of the key areas to look at: mold, cracks. Nice. They're the obvious ones.
Okay, that very much stand out. And so if you came and inspected, say, this property today, what are we looking at in terms of, because I know a lot of things are subject to financing, is subject to this report, deadlines and stuff like that. Turnaround time that someone should expect, or how early. I mean, I know we was talking about sellers are going and getting their own structural surveys to help streamline the process.
That's a great thing, actually, when the seller does it. Sorry to just jump in there, but sometimes when a seller does it in advance, of course, a buyer might not even have that subjectivity, so it sometimes might be unnecessary for a seller to do. But at least if a buyer is going to put that in there, a seller can say, actually, I've already figured out that there's $20,000 worth of like general repairs that need to be done, and we've already addressed these things. So
I could
really
not
good.
agree more. Yeah. I should have mentioned earlier, this is not just for potential buyers.
Yeah.
This is equally as much for the sellers if they want to be proactive on the sale.
And even just for
Day-to-day,
anyone
like,
who's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've been living there. If you built your house 30 years ago,
Yep.
You might not have you've maintained it, the XYZ, but at the same time, you might not know what underlying issues might be there. And, it's like if you've had a car for 15 years, you're going to go check to get a service, see, make sure everything's all right.
Exactly.
Same
100%.
thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think my original question was how long's the turnaround time?
So we make a point, because we're very aware of there's enough steps in buying a house, and we don't want to be an additional burden on that process. So we make a strong effort to have them turned around within a week.
Okay, yeah.
Typically I'll come do the inspection.
5 to 7 days,
I'll come do the inspection. That's a 2 to 3 hour process. And then, I need about 5 days post that to turn it around. So that's what we aim for.
No, that makes complete sense.
Well, fantastic, Mark. I mean, I'm sure we can go on and on about this, but it's seriously, it's such a huge part of buying, but also, the general population, just to hire someone like yourselves, even myself talking about it, because, we just never know what's going on with our properties until we really dig beneath the surface.
It's an investment within itself.
Yeah.
That, as Daniel brought up earlier, these inspections aren't expensive.
Yeah.
$2,000 for the potential to save you $100,000 in an unseen, issue.
You want to catch these issues before they get too bad.
Exactly.
Right? You don't want to put Band-Aid work on it. You kind of want to, address it as soon as you can.
Exactly. And also, the person buying the house, how long are they really spending in that house before buying it? What's it, 1 hour, 2 hours total?
Yeah.
In that time, you're not going to walk around, inspect all these little details, or, keep an eye out for that stuff. You're so caught up talking to the real estate agent, the current homeowner, listening to Ben all day.
All they do is open doors.
Yeah. So, you just
it's necessary for the long-term investment.
It's such a good investment. It's cheap, it's fast, and it could just save you so much and just give you peace of mind at the end of the day. Homes are expensive, anywhere, but particularly in Bermuda, and you don't want to gamble on that investment. You want to make sure your money's being well spent, and a structural survey or home inspection can do that for you.
And it ties into insurance too, right? At the end of the day, right? Like, it's like one
and often even appraisals.
Yeah.
Sometimes the appraisers want that inspection before they give their report.
And that's the thing, right? So it's like if we as appraisers acknowledge or identify issues that we say, oh, this needs to get checked. You know, we're going to make a strong recommendation that if this is to go, you know, if this property is to go for sale, or if this is the case with this property, these things need to be addressed by a structural survey, because we can't speak to it.
Yeah.
But we identify that's the issue that needs to be checked up.
Yeah.
So it's something, you know, everything ties in together. And at the end of the day, we're all on the same team.
Of course.
Of trying to make just the smoothest transaction. So collaborations, conversations like this, and then this being shared to the greater masses is what needs to be done.
For sure.
So I guess with that, any more questions?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have Mark's contact details.
Wow.
Thank you,
Somewhere
Mark.
around-
That was
Feel
fantastic.
free to reach out to him.
Really,
It's great
interesting
to see
learn
a young
everything about
Marine
home inspections,
doing
structural surveys,
something
all
great,
this, and honestly,
but
this is a
that
huge
horse
part
story,
of
yeah.
our
Yeah,
business.
for sure.
So, wow, it's great,
Jeez,
scary.
man.
Gonna have nightmares.
The
Thanks for
more
having me on
you
board.
know,
It's really
right?
happy to be
Like,
here, guys.
house
Cheers.
appreciate built in the 1800s. That's you know, yeah. Pick your battles, right? Pick your battles.
Get into the crawl space.
Yeah, no, have you been in a crawl space before?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
It's
tight.
fun.
I would say
It's tight.
fun. It's tight.
People used to be smaller.
All right. So I think it's now time that we guys do our keys to the episode. So I think my main key, or my main point taken from today, would be just the importance of structural surveys. You know, just in the general theme of how much savings can be made by doing this initial getting this initial inspection and structural survey done, and the importance of this, and just how this can save you down the line. It's something
You address
that, like,
things before it gets too bad.
yeah, you know, you just want a Carfax.
Yeah.
You want to know what you're buying. You want to know what you're getting into, and you know,
Carfax.
Carfax.
Carfax.com. Yeah. No, I hear you.
Never heard
I
that
agree.
before?
No, but I agree. I know exactly what you're saying.
But I think that's just so important. So I just find it's within the whole home buying process. I just find it's just you know, a need.
Yeah, and for me, my key, I would say, from a buyer's point of view. Now, a lot of sellers might not like to hear this, but sometimes it can be a renegotiating tactic. Not a tactic, but very much a tactic.
Yeah.
And you know, if you find out that things beneath the surface, that maybe there's $100,000, I had a sale, $100,000 worth of rewiring that needed to take place, and actually the buyer, even the seller, was unaware of it. So just kind of looking into things, as Mark says, you know, getting into the crawl space, you might find out like there's a lot more
little
issues
bit
beneath
more.
the surface than what, you know, a seller.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
No, like a quick little paint job that they did before listing might not hide what's actually there. Or sorry, yeah, exactly. So might not hide what's actually beneath the surface. So yeah, definitely recommend that.
Nice. So, yeah, a little break, but I think I know you was going to say. But anyway, I think we guys get into our small business shout out, and I got a fantastic one for this time.
Yeah.
The great people over at, have you ever heard of Bermuda Tees?
Yes.
Bermuda Tees, the home hoodies and the swizzle gumbies, low
Yeah,
quad
yeah,
type thing. Honestly, they put together some of the most comfiest gear. Like those hoodies, it be in the summer, and I'm wearing that hoodie.
They do blazers?
I hate you. but no, I'm gonna get you a hoodie, man. You gotta get your casual game
It's
up.
getting to cozy season.
Yeah, and honestly, they put together the most comfortable gear, and it just feels so good. And they're a local small business, you know, sort of family operated, very much so. And I know they have a big, they do Christmas sort of pop-up shop, and those things sell, man.
Do they have
It's
like
a
an
great
actual location?
souvenir. No, they don't have. So their
Or
stuff
online,
their stuff can be found online or in Brown and Co.
Cool.
It used to be at the airport, but their online store is like exactly what you want, deliveries and all of that type of stuff. But no, they're fantastic
Big shout
people. So great shout out to them. We're gonna put up some probably B-roll of their images and stuff like that. But you know, the holiday season, it's a great gift to give as we're approaching near that time. So you know, keep them in mind. And
So
they give a portion
you're
of
getting
their,
me a hoodie
I'm getting you a hoodie.
for Christmas. Thank you, mate.
And if the shout out works, it's for free.
True. Tag them. Tag them in it.
Yeah. So I love to give those guys a shout out. They're awesome people. So yeah. Anything else from you, my guy?
Nothing else. I mean, you know, obviously, thank you to everyone, all the support, all the sponsors, all the guests over the
episode
last
12.
year. Episode 12, and we're gonna have a very, very exciting future episode next month.
Yeah, we're gonna go back into, you know, sort of like how those reality TV shows give a.
It's gonna be live, a
favorite
live
moments.
show.
Favorite moments. Is it
Yeah.
a live show? It's not a live show.
I believe, well, on set with a lot of guests. in the background.
All right, so Ben hasn't read the email.
I don't even know what we're doing. But,
but like, comment, subscribe, and share. And thank you guys for watching. As always, feel free to reach out to myself, Daniel Woods, or Ben Rigo for any of your real estate needs. You guys have a great one.
Cheers, guys.